What if I told you that your entire life could start to change by doing just one thing every morning? Making your bed? Sounds too simple, right? But behind this small act lies a truth that transformed Navy SEALs into warriors, and ordinary people into heroes of their own lives. If you've ever felt lost, stuck, or weak, this isn't just a book, it's a battle plan. And it starts with the most unexpected lesson of all. Admiral William H. McRaven is not just any man. He's a retired four-star Navy SEAL with over 37 years of service, including commanding the mission that took down Osama bin Laden. Through brutal training, life-or-death missions, and moments that tested his soul, he learned lessons that can help anyone, not just soldiers, face life's toughest battles. In Make Your Bed, McRaven shares 10 powerful life lessons, all drawn from the toughest training ground on Earth. Navy SEAL Basic Training. Imagine it's 4:30 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. You're cold, exhausted, and your body aches from yesterday's training. And the very first thing your instructor checks? Your bed. In SEAL training, it's not a joke. If your bed isn't perfect, blanket tight, corners sharp, pillow centered, you fail inspection. At first it feels silly. Why should folding a blanket matter when you're training for war? But Admiral McRaven reveals something powerful. Making your bed is not about the bed. It's about pride. It's about attention to detail. And it's about starting your day with a small win. Because in a world where chaos can hit you from anywhere, that tiny victory gives you control. You start your day knowing, I did something right. I finished something. I showed up. And that energy? It ripples. One task leads to another. You dress better. You walk straighter. You take more ownership. And even on days when nothing goes right, when the world feels like it's crumbling, at least when you come home, your bed is made. It welcomes you with the same discipline you showed that morning. It reminds you you did your part. That small task becomes a symbol of hope. And when you hear it from a man who's jumped out of helicopters into combat zones and led thousands in life-or-death operations, it hits differently. He's seen what happens when discipline starts with the smallest act. So make your bed, not just because it looks nice, but because it teaches you something deeper. Success begins with the little things. Whether you're a student, a mother, a dreamer, or someone trying to rebuild your life, this simple rule creates a rhythm, a heartbeat, a discipline that builds strength over time. It's not magic, it's practice, every single day. In Navy SEAL training, there's one unbreakable truth. You will never survive alone. No matter how strong you are, no matter how brave, you need your team. And McRaven learned that lesson the hard way. During one of the toughest parts of the training called the Circus, he and his partner were punished with extra physical training because they fell behind. It was brutal. Hour after hour, push-ups, sit-ups, running in the cold surf. Their bodies were breaking down. But here's what changed everything. Instead of blaming each other, instead of quitting, they decided to support one another. They pushed harder, side by side. And in the end, something incredible happened. They didn't just survive the circus. They became stronger, faster, better than they'd ever been. That's the power of leaning on someone else when you feel weak. McRaven explains that in life, just like in the SEALs, there will be dark days. Days when you lose someone. Days when you fail. Days when you feel like giving up. And on those days, you need people. Real people, friends, family, a partner, a team. You need someone who can look you in the eye and say, I've got you. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. We are built for connection, not isolation. And the strongest among us are the ones who know when to ask for help and when to offer it. He shares another story. A night swim mission through dark, shark-infested waters. It was terrifying, the kind of fear that grips your soul. But McRaven wasn't alone. Each man swam with a buddy. They watched each other's backs, and it was that trust, that bond, that allowed them to complete the mission. Not because they were fearless, but because they were together. Fear is easier to face when someone is holding your hand or watching your back. In our daily lives, this principle is just as true. Whether you're building a business, raising a child, fighting illness, or chasing your dreams, You can't do it all alone, and you shouldn't try to. There's strength in vulnerability. There's courage in saying, I need you. And there's power in creating a circle of people who want to see you win. McRaven's voice is clear. You need your swim buddy. Not just in the ocean, but in life. Someone who will carry you when you fall, cheer for you when you rise, and stand with you when the storm hits. And just as important, you must be someone else's swim buddy too. That's how we survive. That's how we grow. Not alone, but together. So if you're struggling right now, look around, reach out, find your team. And if you've already found them, honor them, love them. Because life isn't a solo mission, and the people beside you may be the reason you make it through. In the brutal world of SEAL training, size doesn't matter. Muscles don't save you. Your height, your weight, your build, none of it guarantees survival. McRaven shares a story about a small group of trainees who were constantly underestimated. They were shorter, smaller, lighter than the others. The rest of the class jokingly called them the Munchkin crew. But here's the twist. They were the fastest boat crew in the entire group. They never fell behind. They rode in perfect rhythm. They supported one another with heart, not ego. While taller guys struggled with pride, these so-called munchkins powered through every challenge. Not because they were built for it physically, but because their hearts were bigger than their bodies. That's the message McRaven hammers in. It's not the size of your body, your background, or your bank account that determines your future. It's the size of your heart, your courage, your persistence, your refusal to give up, even when everything is against you. The world may try to box you in, based on how you look, where you're from, or how much you have, but none of that decides who you become. You do, through your grit, through your love, through your heart. Think about your own life. How many times have people told you that you're not enough? Not tall enough, smart enough, strong enough, rich enough? McRaven is living proof that none of that matters. What matters is how hard you're willing to work, how deeply you're willing to care, how brave you're willing to be when life gets tough. He saw those tiny guys outrun, outpaddle, and outlast men twice their size. And why? Because they believed in each other, and they refused to quit. This truth stretches beyond military training. It applies to everything. You don't need to be born into privilege to change your life. You don't need six-pack abs to build discipline. You don't need to be perfect. You just need heart. Whether you're a teenager dreaming of something big, or a mother fighting for her children, or someone starting over from nothing, your heart is your greatest weapon. Bigger than doubt, bigger than fear, bigger than anything standing in your way. McRaven tells us, measure a person not by the size of their flippers, but by the size of their heart. In other words, stop worrying about what you lack. Start focusing on what's already inside you. That fire, that fight, that love, that unbreakable will. Because in the end, it's not the biggest or the strongest who win. It's the ones who never stop paddling. So if the world has made you feel small, good. That's your superpower. Because small doesn't mean weak. Small means agile. Small means underestimated. Small means your victory will be even more beautiful when it comes. And if your heart is big, nothing can hold you back. There's a moment in SEAL training that breaks almost every trainee at least once. It's called becoming a sugar cookie. No, it's not sweet. It's a punishment. When you mess up, even if it's something small, you're ordered to dive into the ocean in your full uniform. Then roll in the sand until every inch of your body is covered. Sand in your ears, your mouth, your boots. You look like a human sugar cookie. But here's the kicker. You stay that way all day. Wet, cold, miserable. You eat with sand in your teeth. You run with sand in your socks. And the worst part? Sometimes you didn't even do anything wrong. Sometimes you're a sugar cookie just because. No reason, no justice, just suffering. McRaven uses this moment to teach one of life's hardest lessons. Life isn't fair. Bad things will happen. You'll get blamed for stuff you didn't do. You'll work hard and still fail. You'll love people who don't love you back. You'll give your all and get nothing in return. And if you spend your time whining, complaining, or asking, why me? you'll never get anywhere. Because life doesn't owe you fairness, it owes you nothing. When McRaven was a trainee, he hated being a sugar cookie. He wanted reasons, explanations, justice, but the instructors didn't care. And over time, he learned something powerful. You have to perform even when everything feels unfair. You have to push through even when the rules feel broken. Because in life, just like in training, the test isn't whether things go your way. The test is whether you keep going when they don't. This lesson hits deep. Think about the unfair things in your own life. The job you didn't get, the person who betrayed you, the illness that came out of nowhere, the sacrifices that went unnoticed. And still, you kept going. That's what makes you strong. That's what shapes character. Anyone can work hard when life is perfect. But working hard when life is unfair? That's where greatness is born. McRaven tells us that the sugar cookie punishment was never really about the sand. It was about seeing who could stay focused in discomfort. Who could keep their dignity even when humiliated? Who could keep moving without needing applause or fairness? And those who could? They were the ones who made it to the end. So the next time life slaps you in the face without warning, become a sugar cookie. Embrace the sand. Accept the cold. Smile in the face of the storm. Because once you stop needing life to be fair, you become unstoppable. And when others break down, you'll rise. Not because it's easy, but because you've trained yourself to stand tall in the middle of chaos. You don't need life to be fair. You just need to be tough enough to keep showing up anyway. In SEAL training, the worst punishment wasn't pain or cold or even fear. It was the circus. Every night the instructors posted a list. If your name was on it, it meant one thing: you failed. Maybe you were the slowest in the run. Maybe your push-ups weren't enough. Or maybe you just looked tired. Whatever the reason, the price was the same. 2 extra hours of extreme physical training after everyone else went to sleep. More swimming, more lifting, more pain. The circus was designed to break you down. And here's the truth. Most of the men who got stuck in the circus, they eventually quit. But not all of them. Admiral McRaven tells the story of how he and his swim buddy ended up in the circus, night after night. They were exhausted. Their muscles screamed. Their skin blistered. And their confidence was collapsing. But instead of quitting, they kept showing up. Day after day. Night after night. They dragged their bodies through the sand, into the surf, through the darkness. And something strange began to happen. While others were coasting, they were getting stronger. While others slept, they were sharpening their edge. After 2 weeks, McRaven and his partner weren't just surviving. They were outperforming everyone. That's the beauty of the circus. It was meant to be punishment, but for those who embraced it, it became an advantage. The extra pain created extra strength. The failure created endurance. The suffering forged resilience. And that's the message for life. Don't run from the circus. Walk into it. Every one of us goes through our own version of the circus. Maybe it's heartbreak. Maybe it's a failed exam, a lost job, a business that didn't work out, a dream that crumbled. We see those moments as signs that we're not good enough, that we're being punished, that we're falling behind. But McRaven flips the meaning. He says, these are your moments to grow stronger. The people who succeed aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who use failure like fuel. They show up again and again and again, even when it hurts. And what's even more powerful, the circus doesn't last forever. There's always a sunrise after the long night. And when it comes, those who survived the circus are built different. They're faster, smarter, tougher. They've been to the edge, and they came back sharper. So instead of avoiding discomfort, start looking at it like a secret weapon. When life puts you in the arena, don't whine. Don't wait for it to end. Get to work. Sweat through the pain. Bleed if you must. Because the harder your training, the greater your strength. McRaven's voice is clear. Failure isn't the end. It's the invitation to level up, to outlast, to overcome. And the circus? That's where champions are made. So if you're in the middle of your own personal circus right now, breathe. Keep going. Your strength is being built in the dark. In SEAL training, there's an obstacle course so brutal it breaks even the fittest men. One part of it is called the slide for life. a long rope stretched across a 30-foot-high tower. The normal way to cross it is slow and careful. You shimmy along the rope, staying safe, inching forward. But there's another way, a dangerous way. It's called the head-first slide. You flip onto your belly, launch yourself down the rope, and fly toward the other side at terrifying speed. It's risky. If you lose control, you crash hard. But if you do it right, you break records. McRaven had been stuck. He wasn't the fastest. His time on the obstacle course was average. But one day, he decided to take the risk. He threw fear aside, launched himself head first, and flew down the rope like a missile. That day, he posted the best time anyone had ever recorded. Why? Because he stopped playing safe. He faced the fear and took the leap. That lesson stuck with him for life, and he passes it on to us now. Don't be afraid to go head first. Don't be afraid to take bold action. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it might hurt. But sometimes, the only way to win is to stop inching forward and dive in with your whole heart. So many of us live cautiously. We wait. We hesitate. We want guarantees before we move. We say, maybe next year or when I'm ready. But life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't linger forever. And sometimes, playing it safe is the biggest risk of all. McRaven reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing the thing even though you're afraid. Think about your own obstacles. The business you've been scared to start. The relationship you've been afraid to fix. The dream you've been postponing. What if you just said, enough waiting? What if you slid down the rope head first, heart racing, lungs full of fire, trusting that even if you crash, you'll survive and you'll grow? McRaven's message is loud. Fortune favors the bold. Not the reckless, not the foolish, but the bold. The ones who study the rope, take a deep breath, and then fly down it like their life depends on it. Because sometimes it does. There will always be people who tell you to be careful, to slow down, to wait your turn. But those voices are often just fear in disguise. If you've trained, if you've prepared, if your gut says go, then go. Launch yourself. Slide headfirst into the unknown. That's where the growth is. That's where the breakthroughs live. In McRaven's world and in ours, the most unforgettable moments come when we push past comfort and dive into action. So the next time you face something that scares you, whether it's a stage, a decision, a dream, remember the rope, remember the tower, and remind yourself that fear is a rope too. But sometimes, the only way to conquer it is to slide through it, head first. The most legendary moment in SEAL training happens on the beach, in front of a brass bell. That bell isn't there for decoration. It's there for one reason: to ring it when you quit, when the cold is too much, when the pain is unbearable, when your body gives out or your mind breaks down. All you have to do is walk over, ring the bell 3 times, and it's over. No more shouting, no more freezing surf, no more humiliation, just warmth, a hot meal, sleep, safety, comfort. And every single day, someone rings that bell. But McRaven didn't. And the ones who became SEALs didn't either. Not because they were superhuman, but because they made a decision. A decision that echoes through every chapter of this book. They decided, I will never, ever quit. That's the final and deepest lesson. Life will give you that bell, again and again. The chance to walk away when things get hard, when the business fails, when the marriage cracks, when your dreams get delayed or destroyed. The bell will whisper, just quit. Just give up. No one will blame you. And honestly, most people do. Most people ring the bell before they ever find out how strong they really are. But if you can hold on, if you can survive just one more hour, one more day, one more battle, you become something different, something rare, something unstoppable. McRaven tells the story of Hell Week. 6 days of no sleep, constant pain, and mental torment. Men cried. Men broke. Men collapsed. But the ones who survived? They found something deeper than muscle. They found grit. That place inside where you're so tired, so beaten, so done, and yet a voice whispers, keep going. That voice isn't loud. It's quiet. But if you listen to it, it becomes the most powerful thing you've ever known. That's what McRaven wants you to feel. Not just know, but feel in your bones. You are capable of more than you think. You can lose everything and still move forward. You can be broken and still rebuild. You can face fear and still act, but only if you refuse to quit. Only if you say, I won't ring that bell. This final chapter isn't just about military training. It's about your life, your fight, your mountain. Maybe you're a single parent waking up at 4 a.m. Maybe you're working a job you hate, praying for a breakthrough. Maybe you're fighting depression, anxiety, failure, or grief. And maybe, just maybe, life has handed you that bell. If it has, stare at it. Acknowledge the temptation. Then walk past it. Because every time you don't quit, you grow. You become braver, wiser, tougher. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize you were a warrior all along. McRaven ends with this message to the world. If you want to change your life, or even the world, start by making your bed. Then never ever quit.